So one of the hardest things that I find students struggle with is determining what words or clauses the enclitic quae connects. And the more and more I've thought about AP exams and how to approach a translation, the more I've realized that using quae as a divider of segments can be really useful. So I've come up with what I think is a working um, theory of how you should approach what quae connects, especially if it's a passage that you aren't familiar with. Okay, so here's my way to explain how to approach what quae connects. I figure there are kind of three possibilities. Possibility number one is that you have two words side by side. The second word ends in quae. And so I think the first thing you should do is physically write et in between those words. And if these two words are parallel, and what that means is if they are the same case, if they have the same grammatical function, if they are both main verbs, if they are both participles, if they are doing the same thing grammatically, there's a really good chance that this quae just connects word one and word two. So I think that's a good place to start. Are the two words parallel? Then it could be that, if I see the boys and girls, and we move this here, and I notice that this is an accusative direct object and this is accusative direct object, the quae just connects pueros, puellasque. So that's number one. Number two is if you have two words connected by quae that are not parallel. So maybe you have a noun and a verb, maybe you have it could be anything. You could have two nouns, but one's a direct object, one's a subject, so they're not parallel. So you take this quae, you turn it to an et. And I think that the first possibility you should consider is that this quae connects this word, whatever it is, and something that is parallel with it after the quae. So for example, if this were a perfect tense verb, and this was an accusative noun, consider if there is a parallel perfect tense verb on the other side. And then that could indicate that the quae connects those two things. So very often it will be the word in front of the word that has the quae that determines things. And then the third possibility is kind of if neither of those things works, then you just have to dig deep. So I know that's not very helpful, but it might be that these two words aren't parallel, but the quae is going to connect a word over here and a word over here. So that's always going to be a possibility, but I think if you start by looking into if they're parallel, it might just be an and between two nouns. If they're not parallel, it's going to be an and between the word that precedes the word with the quae and another word. After you exhaust those two possibilities, then consider, do you need to look further afield?